Will you be able to play with your friends?
Yeah.
Is there a competitive element to this game?
Yeah, if you want that, yes.
Can you grief other players?
A little bit.
Will there be NPC characters?
No.
Can you customize the look of your character?
Sort of.
Do you ever get a good look at your character?
You can see other characters, and they can see you. Like, ships are actually a discovery, just like everything else. And you can name your discovery. So you can name the ship type, and then everyone who has that ship would have that name. And you can go into the darkness.
You can go into the darkness.
Starting up No Man's Sky, right away I was both overwhelmed and excited. The anticipation I had been building up, thinking I was going to be surprised around every corner with new plants and animals, intelligent life forms, planetary formations with new ores and elements littered everywhere around me. It all just kept me amped. My only displeasure in the beginning was the lack of inventory space, something of which I strived for through my entire gameplay experience, and I quite enjoyed obtaining larger inventory space. Hey, I found something. What is that? Whoa. Whoa. It's like a ship or something. Okay, check it out. Whoa. Suit upgrade. Get around. Alright. Oh yeah, definitely need more inventory space. Fuck yeah. About time. Fuck yeah. Seconds in, my first real combat encounter was against the Sentinels, as I was just mining up some iron, minding my own business. I was both scared and anxious trying to fiddle around with my multi-tool, attempting to figure out how to shoot bullets. I ended up having to run away just to get them to stop following me. This was unfortunately one of maybe 3 times that I actually enjoyed the combat in the entire game. And I'll talk more on this later.
Alright, let's get some of this carbon, I guess. Alright, there's a little bit. What's it? Let's just maybe a little bit more. Alright. Whoa. Hey. We're cool, man. I wasn't doing nothing. Man. It's cool. Oh, yellow shit. We're cool, right? We're cool. I wasn't doing anything. We're cool. Right? Yeah? Yeah. We're cool. Fuck off.
Exploring my first planet, and even my first couple planets, was fun. Finding an intelligent alien and answering his riddle without knowing his language, simply based on the description my character was interpreting in-game. I had to choose my answer from a multiple choice selection. It was a great concept. Exploring further, I would find these monoliths or obelisks, which are these ancient looking ruins. Upon examining them, your in-game character is once again tasked with answering a riddle. However, this time the interpretation of what my character was experiencing in-game was frighteningly mysterious. I was afraid to choose my answer out of fear of getting it wrong. Again, it was great in concept. Exploring the planet even further, I found this abandoned building. The doors were missing and the electronics inside were torn apart, infested with this green virus-looking material covering the floor, walls, and ceiling. Again, I was excited on the anticipation of something jumping out and attacking me. As I explored further in, I found a computer terminal, activating it, and was once again prompted to answer a riddle. And again, it was great in concept. Truthfully, however, these parts of the game became immediately repetitive. The next building I came across was just like the last, and also came with some weird riddle to answer. The explanation of how your character interpreted what was happening or what they were experiencing in game would have been much better if it had been created visually for you to see, especially when it came to the monoliths. The text-based approach wasn't completely terrible. In fact, it felt homage to old school games. But with no visual aid to keep me interested continuously, the riddles themselves became boring very quickly. There was no real punishment for getting an answer wrong, and the reward was nowhere near as great as it needed to be when getting it right. And like I've said before, it was a great concept, but poorly thought out and executed. The monolith shows images of creatures lying dead before it, each sacrificed, butchered, and offered up to whatever gods were once worshipped here. Suddenly, the head of a small woodland animal raises up through the earth below me. It stares at me with wide eyes, then gives a joyful skip when its tidy hoofs reach the ground level. Something is clearly expected of me. Let the creature live or sacrifice the creature. It's here. Viking sacrifice? Sacrifice the creature, I guess. I am suddenly underwater. I am drowning. Water clogs my lungs. My chest is on fire. I gasp for air where there is none and feel only tepid liquids filling me inside and out. My vision is clouding. I know this is my time. This is it. This is what it feels like. Suddenly, a green hand thrusts itself through the surface of the water. The light is fading. Oh my god, this is really kind of... No risk, no reward, I guess. Choose to die? I have known death, but its power makes me stronger. Alright, whatever. Alright, now like 2 ancient stone cups, make your lines in front of the monolith, while I show darker liquid, blah blah blah, sticky liquid that is bright yellow, smells powerfully bitter, stone tablet, ancient glyphs, form an image, warrior surrounded by red light, red halo challenges an opponent clad in bright yellow armor. I guess, I don't know, I'm more of an armor person, but I don't really want to drink this, but I will anyway. Yeah, whatever. What do I do? Getting in my ship and traveling to different planetary locations and then different planets was very cool visually. I loved going from a slow walk on a planet's surface to jumping in my ship and flying as fast as a jet, then using my boosters to fly above the planet's atmosphere, then activating my pulse engine in space to reach distant planets in seconds. And of course, warp driving to the next star system. No Man's Sky shows off how easy real space travel should be.
A region of space-time behind a spacecraft, while the spacecraft itself sat stationary inside this flat bubble.
Unfortunately, after immediately jumping into my ship and repairing my weapon systems, I eagerly flew along the planet's surface looking for something to shoot, only to be disappointed that anything I shot at couldn't be killed or destroyed. I wondered why I was even able to shoot with my ship's weapons in the first place. I couldn't mine the rocks on the planet's surface. It was very disappointing. Now, of course, traveling out into space, there are plenty of asteroids to fill your ship's inventory an infinite amount of times. After only seconds, I could see other ships flying around me, and even some cruisers jumped right in front of my view. Upon attacking, the ship's automated turrets fired at me, and the Sentinels were once again taking notice of my actions. Running away from the cruiser, I decided to engage the Sentinels. My first moments of this battle was a lot of fun. Reaching 5-star alert status and watching a Sentinel dreadnought warp in and take me out was exhilarating. Unfortunately, my next experience fighting the Sentinels was exactly the same. And once you defeat them, they just stop coming. It was the same when I engaged them on a planet's surface. My first encounter with each type of Sentinel was exciting, but each engagement was exactly the same. After traveling through the first several star systems, I came across my very first atlas. This unknown entity emitting this sort of ominous and mysteriousness about itself. Looking up at it, I wondered, was it a machine, some sort of godlike entity, or maybe just another large intelligent species that I had yet to encounter? When I approached, it spoke. And though my character had its own interpretation again, I couldn't understand the words the Atlas was speaking to me. I desperately wanted to know what it was saying. This was the part of the game where I felt my long unanswered questions would finally come to light. Who am I? Why am I here? Who's my enemy? What are the Sentinels and where do they come from? And what are you? Now, the monoliths I talked about earlier are how you're able to understand the languages of the different species, including the Atlas. After reaching my first atlas, I decided I wanted to understand it and began on a journey to learn as many words as possible. Now, the other species inhabiting the galaxy, the Korvax, the Viking, and the Gek, their languages are easier to come by. At every monolith, there are 3 words surrounding it, and if you answered the riddle correctly, you gained anywhere from 1 to 2 extra words for that language. But the Atlas language was different. For every monolith riddle you answered correctly, you only gained 1 Atlas word. After several straight days of learning 100 Atlas words and several hundred words from the other races, I once again returned to Atlas, only to be disappointed that somehow, in its 24-worded sentence, I could only understand 1 word. I was torn, only to figure out that mathematically, in order for me to understand the Atlas, it would take me months. With that in mind, I gave up any hope of getting it done, and instead just continued my journey. Once I finished my last Atlas, I was then prompted with one more task: traveling to the center of the galaxy. Now, I had been looking forward to this journey, not just from the many comments made by Sean Murray, but also my own interest of just what could be there. Still being 177,000 light years away, I knew this was going to be a long journey. At this point in the game, there was no longer anything new to surprise me. The only thing driving me to even land on a planet was increasing my inventory space or repairing my warp engines. This journey was boring and tedious. It was just hours of my wasted time, simply hoping that this one part of the game must possibly be good. Now, if you want to see what happens when you reach the center of the galaxy, there are plenty of YouTube videos out there that can show you what really happens. I'd like to show you something else. I'd like to show you how reaching the center of the galaxy made me feel. Take a look.
magic word. You didn't say the magic word. You didn't say the magic word.
Getting to the center and realizing it was unobtainable was like getting kicked in the face. One key feature in No Man's Sky is your ability to scan targets, from entire solar systems to planets and plants and animals on those planets. One part I enjoyed at first was being able to name things with silly names and knowing someone else could come across this and have a nice laugh. My first interpretation of this system was that it was some kind of leaderboard of basically who got here first, which was a big motivation for reaching the center. Now I knew I wouldn't be the first, but I did know that the center would be the one place I would actually get to see other people's funny named encounters, or just simply who got there and when. By the time you reach the moment you decide to travel to the center of the galaxy, it becomes the same moment you stop caring about this cataloging system entirely. I was, of course, still interested in reaching the center, knowing that that would be the one place where this entire cataloging system would actually matter. It's the one place where everyone finally gathers together. But by the time you get there, you've already scanned anything worth scanning. You just don't care anymore. Ultimately, the system was flawed. Without any social aspect to the game, there was no need for this system to even exist. No Man's Sky has many great concepts, and it certainly sets the minimum bar for future space games. I can't help to think how good a Star Wars, Star Trek, or Starbound game would do with No Man's Sky's key features. Unfortunately, it's only a great concept. There's nothing beyond its face value. The galaxy itself is 360,000 light years across, but only an inch deep. My final score for No Man's Sky is a 4 out of 10. Right now, as it is, with its many crashes, it's a below average game. It only barely reaches the minimum requirements. Once, however, the crashes are fixed and a couple hotfixes, I would easily give it a 5 out of 10. An average game. If it had been anything near what Sean Murray had promised, I imagine it would have been a tall 8 or 9. The game itself is ridiculously overpriced. I do not recommend anyone buy it, and I'd like to apologize to those who did buy it when I told them to. I was foolish to think that this game might get better, and I'm sorry. I, for one, will be returning my game. And that is my No Man's Sky review.
Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
Bullshit! You sell some! It's all bullshit! All of it!
Really? From the moment I started